Welcome to the Company Growth Podcast.
This is the Company Growth Podcast. This is Alysha Dominico.
I'm your host, Alysha Dominico.
Kaylee, I wanted to have you on the show today because there was a time where you were totally new to inbound. It was a foreign world. And there's a lot of companies out there who would love to grow, but do not understand how they can grow with inbound and what the heck even inbound actually is. Mm-hmm. So I thought your perspective could be super fresh to the companies who are out there experiencing those pain points maybe, and just looking for alternatives as to where they are.
Right. Yeah.
So my first question for you is, talk to me about how you learned about inbound, what questions you had going through your head and how you resolved them.
So at first I was obviously like, well, what is this? Obviously it's marketing, but what does that mean? What does inbound mean? And I think the way that I came to understand it was I feel like maybe this is a just very human response in general, but we try to understand things by identifying by what they're not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So just kind of looking at what marketing, the marketing that I usually see and what that is. So one of the ways that I describe it now is outbound marketing, which is not really obviously a term that we use, but marketing that is not necessarily targeted to you when you need it, or it's sort of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks sort of thing, where maybe someone's come up with an advertisement and they're hoping they're putting it in front of the right demographic, or they probably know they're putting it in front of the right demographic, but they don't necessarily know what that demographic needs when they see that piece of content. And that sort of helped me see how inbound marketing is really the opposite of that, in that it's creating content that allows the target audience to put it in front of themselves, really. They make the choice of how they're going to engage with it and interact with it. And it kind of helps them put them in the driver's seat in terms of the information that they're getting and the choices that they make. And just essentially I at first, that's kind of how I answered my first major question was what is this not, and which is obviously what am I used to, and how is this different? And it's, I guess, in a lot of ways, a more organic way.
So it's not it's not outbound in the sense that you're not blasting and putting whatever you want. Mm-hmm. It's inbound in the sense that it's letting the customer come in and control their journey with that brand and choose how they're going to engage. That is how you would define inbound. Yeah.
It's instead of, putting an advertisement in front of me where I'm, for a car, and maybe I've been thinking about buying a new car, but I'm really not ready. And a lot of car advertisements are like, here's your price, here's what you're getting, get it now, you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, I don't even know what kind of car I want. Where with inbound, it's more like I can go and I can decide slowly on my terms, on my time, what kind of car that I need, what kind of car that I want, find out information about it, maybe get some tools to help me make that decision. And I mean, sometimes those advertisements work, right? Because sometimes I'm in a place where I'm like, I want a car right now and I know what car I want and I just saw an advertisement for it. So that's great. But most of us, especially when we're buying, not for ourselves, as a customer, but when we're buying for our businesses, have to make our decision-making process can take a lot longer. So it changes the way that we're interacting with that marketing content.
So by using inbound, we're allowing for the customer to research and get educated? Would you say it's very much an education process, or what else is happening at that time? They're just
Absolutely, like education and like creating trust. I think that's like in terms of like one of the things that I've learned about inbound marketing that I didn't, I don't want to say I didn't expect to learn, but like one of the things that I was surprised to learn about inbound marketing is how much of it is about trust, and the building of trust. Trust between like your target audience and
as the company.
your perfect, yes, and the company itself.
So you're trying to get the customers to trust you more in a very ethical way by explaining things and allowing them to go along a purchasing journey, whether with you or somebody else, I think is a critical piece here.
Exactly.
Because they may not trust you yet, and they may not want to buy from you, or they may not want to buy, to use your analogy, your car in the end.
Yeah.
Just because they've chosen a different car that's a better fit or whatever, or, they don't want a sedan, they want an SUV in the end, which is fine.
Exactly.
But I think you're allowing them to have a better experience with your brand earlier if you're educating them and sort of bringing them in before they were ready to make that purchase.
Yes. I think that a lot of times like inbound marketing doesn't look to us like what we are traditionally think of marketing as. Like, I still tell people I do inbound marketing, and they're like, "Oh, you're like Mad Men," and I'm like, "Well, A, I'm not sexist. B, I don't smoke like at all, and C, no."
Yeah, and it's 2020.
Yeah, get a new show. But like it's so we often still think of marketing as like a very different thing, and inbound marketing is about educating people, like you said, giving people information, giving people tools and resources, building that trust so that, and really, I think you can build that trust with clients over long term, obviously, just with your own traditional marketing methods. That trust is there, and you can build that. But the thing that I think inbound does is it allows you to build that trust before you even close the deal. So that
or the deal's even on the table yet.
Exactly. So they might, they've learned from you and they're educated, and you're giving them information, and you're hoping that part of their decision-making process will include you. It might not, that is going to happen. But at the end of the day, you've built a rapport with someone, and you're more likely to stay in their mind for the next time. Or if they had a bad experience with their ultimate decision, they're going to come back to you because they remembered the good experience and the good information and the good tools that you gave them, instead of really blasting them with the sales messages.
Yeah.
So it's about trust and education, information, empowering people, empowering our target audience.
Perfect. And so what onus then is on the company to come up with, to support that customer journey? What do they need to be doing?
I think consistency is key. Just continuing to remain consistent with creating content that is helpful, whether that's usually going to come in the form of a blog post or a content offer, a sort of meat and potatoes thing you can offer to someone. But the company needs to continue to offer content that is helpful, stay up to date and educated with what people want, what the people who are buying their products want, or the people that they want to buy their products want.
So you're talking about making a massive web of content that people can kind of come into and bounce around on and get sticky with and get stuck and invested in that company's brand, or they can bounce. But at least you hopefully have left them with a good impression. What about frequency? What do you see as working really well in terms of how much is enough?
How much is enough in terms of content?
Yeah, or creating these touch points, this web that they can come in and roll around on before they're ready to buy from you. I
I don't even remember the number now. I feel like we've seen so many numbers, something like, I feel like 24 was a number we saw most recently, or even higher, that, people need to continue to come back. Like, we're definitely in double digits, but like, people need to continue to come back and see from you that you're, creating content consistently. So like, not just like throwing a blog post up once in a while when you have an opinion, but like throwing up, 8 plus, 12 plus blog posts a month, creating touch points with, email workflows so that you're in their inbox like once a week, just being like, here's information for you, here's what you can learn. And also being consistent with like your branding and messaging in terms of like content on social media, interaction on social media. The onus is on the company is to stay consistent with an open line of communication. And by that I mean, not just, again, throwing a certain type of sales message in their face, but communicating with them about the features and benefits, the pros and cons, the good and the bad, and whatever they need to know about the services, so that they can make an informed decision and feel like really really comfortable and secure to
in who they're targeting. Yeah. And who they're wanting to buy from, sorry, I should say.
Yes. And so like, it is like a long game, because it's like, I feel like you have to be very patient.
And that's not to say that sales teams shouldn't be out there doing perhaps even outbound efforts, which is a little bit more of an outreach strategy, or all of the things like this you don't see this as replacing all of the things that they're already doing.
Not at all. I think that an inbound marketing plan is only successful as an addition to whatever you're doing, especially if whatever you're doing is already working.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't just throw that out, because like, when something's testing well, you got to go with that too. But inbound marketing, I find often is the thing that like allows you to reach people that you never even knew you could reach.
Yeah.
Or that you never even knew were going to be interested. And like I said, it is like a patience thing, because not that you're not going to see results, but you probably don't see results maybe in the same way right away. But because you're building that trust by creating all of these touch points for people so that they can come back before, like you said, before there's even a deal on the table, they know you, they want to work with you, and you don't have to have made a deal with them first for them to trust you. They're just ready to do it.
Because of all the other things that you're doing so well.
Exactly. It lays, like, you might not see results in that first month in terms of, a dollars and cents money made, but you've put the brickwork in with, information, tools, resources, that will create the trust that will often take you years to build otherwise.
Cool. And speaking of that, then what results do you see? Like, what are the, how do people set expectations then? It's very hard for some companies who have been very focused on their own results and who have to continue to be focused on their own results. And we're advising them to keep doing all those things that you're already doing, but we're also saying add this layer of inbound marketing to meet customer expectations of how they shop, particularly if you have a long purchasing cycle. You don't make a decision. It's not a $20 purchase.
Right.
You're actually, it's more of it works really well in the B2B environment because it's a longer path to purchase.
Process. Yeah.
And the value point is higher. Like we're talking about buying cars, even, when you're buying a car, it is a more thoughtful journey, and you are thinking about it for a long time because it's a big investment. So we're saying that inbound works really, really well in those B2C examples, but also in the B2B examples that are often of that similar longer purchase path, or we buy in cycles or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
So then for them to let that aside, for like a very hungry sales team to let that aside, why would they do this? Why would they lean in and do this? Can they skip it?
I mean, yeah, they can if they want, but I feel like it makes more work for them.
Tell me more about that.
Because when you have an inbound process working in the background for you, you're warming up those leads before someone has even spoken to them on the phone or face to face or sent, an email. No one's had to waste time with cold calling on a Saturday or cold emailing or whatever. They're just...
You're not doing research for the prospect to pursue them. They're coming to you through search engine optimization and social media.
I have this problem, can someone help me? And that's when, you as the salesperson get to say, yeah, that's me. I can help you. So, I mean, yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong with cold calling. If you want to cold call and it works for you and you see results, then, phone away. But if you can make 5 off cold calling or 5, solid leads off of cold calling and also get 5 solid leads off of inbound, well, that's 10. So
in the same hour.
You've just doubled your output. So
without having to scale the human resources. Because it's scalable. You make it once and it lives online forever. And there's that sort of adage in search engine optimization or SEO speak where we say, in order for SEO to work, you got to start early and keep at it. So I think what you're saying is, yeah, you can skip inbound marketing, but the sooner you get started, the longer you'll see results for, and you get that legacy that is going to help you over time.
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to talk to you about results that we've seen. And one of the results that you've given is that you could have this infrastructure that's always working in the background for you. And one of the other results is this concept of people being able to find you earlier in their journey. One of the things that I like seeing is that, the pace of purchase, people are used to finding blog posts as answers or, web pages. They may not realize it's a blog, but it's a web page and they're reading it, or they're used to coming across brands on social media and then discovering them for the first time in those places by searching in a search engine or by trolling social media, or sorry, not trolling, by visiting social media.
Right.
So they're used to that. But what I like to see the combination of is they're not just schools of fish swimming in the night, and reading your content, reading your blog posts. So how do you plan for that? That, okay, we're going to do all this effort into content, but then won't people just consume it? And then we have no way, what about us as the company? There's still a need to have some kind of trail, isn't there?
So do you mean how do we get them from reading a blog post to contacting us for, to book a service, to purchase the product?
Yeah. How do we get to have any control over that? Let me rephrase it. If you're creating all of this content and it's living freely on the internet and anybody can access it, how do I as the company say, okay, but at a certain point, I should get a return on investment on all of this content that I'm doing. So how do you allow the company to get some return on investment, or do they?
Okay. So I guess essentially what you need to do is, even when we're creating content that is informational or educational, I should say, and that is providing help or answering a question, we still want to be able to have a point within our content where we can essentially start the relationship, start the conversation, where we're saying do you want to see more of this stuff, whatever this is, from us? And that's where we can start to see who people are and, track what they want and what they like by them, by offering them something like a content offer,
something next level.
Infographic.
More information on the thing that they were reading.
Exactly. Hey, if you liked what you just read in this blog post, you're going to love what we have here for the low price of your email address.
Well, and you're talking about the
but-
currency just changes, right? The currency goes from
Exactly.
money transaction to the exchange of information, which again, I guess people are used to. In fact, people are so used to it that they're probably even less likely, they're more guarded about giving away even their personal information.
Yes.
We've seen Canada's anti-spam and Europeans like based GDPR rules of protecting our data privacy in the last 18 months even really escalate.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have to make sure that when people are coming through the site and they're reading information, that we are not just being self-serving and wanting to get their data so that somebody can then kind of warmish cold call them and see if they're ready to purchase. We have to respect where they're at.
Exactly. And that's, again, where I think maybe some companies might feel like a little nervous, from both sides, both like, well, we're putting this content out here, we're putting this information out here, and we're not necessarily getting anything back from it. So what makes this worth it? And also we're putting this content out here and then we don't want to scare people away by asking for their information. So that's where, again, it's about like the onus is on you as a company to make sure that the information that you're providing is concrete and solid and helpful and genuine. And also make sure that the information that you're going to be offering them, like with these content offers, with that like sort of next level item that you want them to, give away their data for, essentially, is something that's worth it.
So if you're coming in to read about something, just to learn about it, the next level is to offer them some kind of a tool that they can use to get to that next stage of understanding what it is that they're trying to do.
Exactly.
So in a B2B example, we could say you're coming in to read about whether, when you're drowning, do you need a lifeboat or a swimming instructor or a personal flotation device? Here's the case study of how these things work really, really well. And that is the next level of education. So it is worth trading your email for.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's great. I think that's really interesting. Is there anything else that we should, those people who are really, wanting to get to the next level, but they don't understand what it is or how or why or what they need to do and why they need to do it, what else would you share with them?
I guess I just kind of like really want to reiterate that like it's about it's like a new way of creating relationships. It's all done over the internet, right? So it seems like it would be very like surface level sort of interactions, but we are genuinely trying to reach customers where they are. We're trying to put the information that they need at the moment that they need it in front of them. So that means that like we're being invited into their office, like at their desk, when they have a burning question. So that again, it's about being genuine and creating that trust, and it's also about being patient, because I've never not seen inbound marketing work. I've never seen it fail.
Yeah, it always works.
Yeah, it's legit. Like, which I know, I hate saying that. I hate being like, it's a guarantee, because to me it sounds like so salesy.
To say something's a guarantee?
Yeah, like I guarantee that you will love inbound marketing.
Yeah.
But you will. Because like if you're patient with that, and by patient, I don't mean a year. I mean like give it a couple months. And if you are consistent, then you will see results. I've never not once seen it happen.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we can see, like, and if you have the tracking system behind it, which is what we always encourage, when you can see that traffic has increased and traffic came from those sources, your effort is working. If, increasing awareness for your brand and touch points was the goal. And when you can see that the person you were trying to attract identified as that person and said, yep, I'm that person, let me read more, that's really exciting to see those new contacts coming in. And if they are opted in, you can nurture them and continue that relationship. I also think it's okay for well-trained people and understanding that people are not ready to buy and you shouldn't be qualifying them. I also think it's okay to be talking to those contacts, not about purchase, but about how you can help them. And
Exactly.
10 years ago, we saw people were always being encouraged in marketing workshops to start to have a free consultation. And now, like, who wants a free consultation? What's it about? I don't have time for that. But when it is, at Tangible Words, we're doing growth coaching in our consultation where we're saying, like, where are you trying to get? What do you need to do? And really listening. That's a total value add service that actually, I think, means a lot to a lot of people. We have a lot of companies who are platform based who are coming in and saying, I need to launch this thing. It's a SaaS model. What do I do? And we have a lot of knowledge about how to direct them to the next step, even if it's just sharing a book idea.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it. It's about creating the trust there.
And starting that relationship sooner.
Yeah. That we are not just here to sell you something. We're here to help you.
I also like the use now of live chat bots. Live chat is not new. It's been around for a long time. It's never really worked very well. But now you're seeing companies like HubSpot and Drift in the marketplace get a lot more aggressive about how well that can work and whether you're using, bots to initially take people in and answer immediate questions, really thinking about what page they're on and who they might be, that sort of thing. And then being able to offer that live chat agent. Sometimes, for some of our clients, they are actually, let's say their persona, their target audience is a parent and they're buying something. They probably are shopping, if they're buying something for their kids, they probably are shopping in the evenings, like outside of business hours, because they work during business hours. So they probably are shopping, for family stuff outside of hours. And if you have a live chat that is immediately pinging that sales rep is probably so excited about the lead that they don't mind like answering it at 7:00 or whatever, being able to help people. Exactly. So you can set up your site for this long-term strategy of inbound and that scalability, but you can also layer things over top for the people who are immediately ready and, have questions that you can help. You can start helping faster people.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like, bringing it back to putting things in front of the people who need them when they need them. Like like you said, when you're a parent and you're not shopping for this product for your kid during work hours, you're shopping for this product for your kid at the end of the day when they're home and they're like, mommy, 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 mommy. And you're like,
Yep.
Here's this tool that, again, allows you to not have to be on the phone, like trying to have all these conversations at once and just be able to like answer this and then go do whatever you're doing in the kitchen or helping your kid with their homework and then answer your next question. Like, it's again about giving people the opportunity that they didn't have before to interact with the product or the service itself or with the answers that they need.
Perfect.
I feel like a lot, like, obviously the internet is like a somewhat horrible place a lot of the time, but, and it would be really, easy to say that, inbound marketing is just, another way for us to try to sell to people like this terrible capitalist system. But like, it is a really great way to just talk to people and give them information and empower people to make decisions for themselves.
And to be always helping, which I think is the future of sales, right? Like that's the concept of consultative selling, which I think started back in the 90s. I don't know. I was actually still in high school in the 90s. But that concept of being a consultant and helping along is a genuine desire. And inbound marketing can absolutely transpose that genuine desire to always be helping by giving this nice net that people can roll around in of information, pick and choose the things that they want, not be force-fed because they can opt out or, they can keep coming back to one source for information or they can look around at lots of them. But then if you have the conversion points set up and you have a whole strategy around why you're doing inbound marketing, I think you can also give still some control to the company to engage and do it in a way that is respectful still to the client.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just picturing in my head someone rolling around in a net of blog posts. And
Help, I'm stuck in a blog.
Is that a good visual?
Yes.